Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the program today, she was former Chief of Staff to Governor Kenny Guinn and Cabinet Secretary to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ray Hagar has the rundown.
Thanks, Sam. Today's guest, Marybel Batjer, is the consummate political insider. Not only has she worked for Guinn and Schwarzenegger, she's also worked for 2 presidents. Coming up next.
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Susan Fisher, Larry Matheis, and Dick Gammick. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
Corporations moving to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center require reliable power, fiber optic communication, and clean water sources. And yet, there's another amenity we're very proud of here at TRI, rail service. So far, we've built over 2 miles of railroad track, and another 3.6 is under construction. When companies need to transport freight, we're going to help them move it quickly and efficiently. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
The resort at Red Hawk offers you 2 great dining choices. Experience David's Grill and Sports Bar or the Steakhouse at Red Hawk. The Steakhouse has received the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence based on a diverse selection of fine wines. To accompany the wines, the Steakhouse serves certified Angus beef steaks in a variety of cuts, fresh fish, chicken, and pasta dishes. For fun and casual dining, come to David's Grill and Sports Bar. David's is open 7 days a week, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The resort at Red Hawk. Always the right choice.
As an employer, did you know you can be held liable for negligent hiring? A background screening by Employer Links can uncover criminal records, like alcohol and drug convictions. It can verify the applicant's education, driving records, and professional licenses. Employer Links can check civil records, registered sex offender records, and Social Security fraud. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
My family started this business 27 years ago.
We work hard to serve our customers and our community.
But it's getting harder and harder to keep the doors open.
For example, our workers' comp is going through the roof. Isn't anyone on my side anymore?
The Retail Association of Nevada is. If you're a small business owner, we can cut your workers' comp by up to 50%, lobby for your interests, and keep you informed. Put us to work today.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
The last time our guest was on Nevada Newsmakers, she was Chief of Staff to Governor Kenny Guinn. Before heading off to California, we welcome to the program Marybel Batjer, who is currently Vice President of Public Policy and Communications for Harrah's Entertainment. I do want to share with the audience that when you were in California, you were the governor's cabinet secretary, which is a very important position there. And in the past, just to list off a couple of things, you worked for Caspar Weinberger back in 1981. You also were in the White House in President Reagan's reign, helping to arrange summit meetings with foreign leaders, including the Soviets. You also worked with Governor Pete Wilson of California. An extraordinary resume.
And may I add that your father was the Chief Justice of the Nevada Supreme Court.
Thank you, Ray, for
and I am
that.
sure is watching this
Sam.
program right now.
Yes, oh, of course, loyal.
All right, let's start out with, if you don't mind, just the whole working with Governor Schwarzenegger. What was that like?
It was fascinating. A fascinating man. Very hard for me to leave Governor Kenny Guinn, whom I have enormous respect for and love, really. So it was a very hard move, but one that I was actually, after having made, very pleased that I did. It was an experience of a lifetime. Arnold is a fascinating man, very, very smart, very energetic, very dynamic. The hard thing was that he had a lot of great ideas, but he had never been in government before. And as cabinet secretary, I was his chief policy advisor, and frankly really had to implement through the cabinet process his policies and his campaign promises. So it was a huge challenge, huge, but it was fascinating.
Marybel, recently California voters rejected two of Governor Schwarzenegger's most biggest ballot proposals, including his centerpiece to slow down state spending. What does this say about his leadership in the future? Is he a viable candidate to get elected again?
Well, he has his challenges ahead of him. He actually lost 4 of the initiatives that he was supporting. And I think that it's easy to say, do a tally and a score sheet of win-loss. There were some difficulties in how those initiatives were written. There were some complications to them, so it wasn't just a ballot initiative. It had some flaws, frankly. But this next year is very critical for Governor Schwarzenegger. He has just changed his staff. He has just named Susan Kennedy as his chief of staff.
A Democrat.
A Democrat.
No relation to JFK, though.
No, not at all. No relation to Maria.
With your history, you have approached things in a very bipartisan way, so I'm feeling that you're not shocked that the governor did that.
No, I was surprised actually at first of hearing it. Many people called me, as you can well imagine. I know Susan Kennedy very well. She was on the Public Utilities Commission when I was cabinet secretary, and frankly, she really carried a lot of strong policy issues for me before the commission. I worked closely with her. She is a solid pro-business, anti-regulatory, I don't want to be too pat about that, but solid pro-business commissioner on the PUC. And I had to, at the time, move some energy policy initiatives through the PUC as cabinet secretary, so Susan was terrific. I was surprised in that Susan had been the cabinet secretary under Gray Davis, and Maria recently named Daniel Singali as her chief of staff, who also had been a cabinet secretary under Gray Davis. So just in terms of the political roadmap, it looked a little odd to have 2 advisors to Gray Davis move into being very close advisors and the chief advisor to Arnold Schwarzenegger. So quite aside from their capabilities, both of whom are tremendously capable, it just looked odd politically.
Well, I was just going to say, but does that help him to accomplish some of his goals? Because he's, the unions have been against him.
Right.
The legislature has been against him.
Right.
Will this now help him to be able to pull that together?
It's hard to predict that, Sam. Susan is very smart, and she's a very solid policy person. Very solid on environmental issues, very solid on social, particularly child and family issues, and very solid on business, moderate regulation of business. So she will bring a more moderate, in my opinion, focus to Arnold than what you've seen this last year. The first year, I think we hit dead center where we needed to be. I think they probably, in terms of political strategy, went a bit. I'm on the other side of the border now, so I'm very careful because I have many dear friends who are involved in all of this. But I think that they did take a more center-right political strategy during the campaign. But if you look at the legislation, different bills that Arnold signed into law this last legislative session, they were moderate to left of center. So some analysis really needs to be done there.
Marybel, as you know, Governor Schwarzenegger was an action hero actor before he got into politics, and now it seems his most vocal Democratic opponent is another actor, Warren Beatty. What is it about California voters where they look to actors to run their state? I just don't understand that.
Well, I don't think they really do, Ray. I think what's happened is for one thing, the movie industry, thankfully, is one of the chief industries of California. So it would be like the mining industry or the casino industry in Nevada having some activity and some involvement in the political process, which they should. But so I think that's one thing. But I think California, if you really look back at politics in California, and there aren't a lot of actors that have been involved. They've been very prominent because they're actors. Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Warren Beatty now. There have been others, depending on issues. But I don't think if you really look at the larger landscape that it's predominant in any way.
So you don't think we're going to see Governor Gary Coleman anytime soon? We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers with Marybel Batjer after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
For more than a decade, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has been helping the community embrace conservation as a way of life. That includes replacing more than 50 million square feet of grass with water-smart landscaping. During the worst drought on record, watering restrictions and tough landscaping codes have reduced the community's water use by billions of gallons, even as thousands of new residents were moving into Nevada. That's smart water management, and that's our promise to Nevada.
The soul of Vegas was conceived on Fremont Street, and we've stayed true to our roots. Fabulous dining and free entertainment. Topped off by VidaVision, the biggest big screen on the planet. With free, spectacular animated light and sound shows every night of the year. Party downtown on the street that started it all. The Fremont Street Experience. It's over-the-top vintage Vegas, baby.
If you pay for your communication and entertainment services separately, you could be paying too much.
Unlike cable, SBC let me build a plan to fit my life at a cost that worked for me.
With cable, I couldn't get the services I wanted the way I wanted them.
The SBC family gives you more choices, like the proven reliability of SBC local and long-distance service, digital satellite TV, and high-speed internet, all for under $80 a month. Add Singular Wireless and the savings just get better. Call or go online now.
SBC, now joined with AT&T.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And we're back talking to Marybel Batjer, Vice President of Public Policy and Communications for Harrah's Entertainment.
Marybel, you were Governor Gwynn's Chief of Staff during the 03 legislative session, the tough one with 2 special sessions. And Governor Gwynn is often called the education governor, but when you look at Nevada's per-pupil spending is still low. Our university system has a lot of remedial classes for incoming freshmen. Do you think Governor Gwynn has done enough for the state to be really called the education governor?
Yes and no. I think Governor Gwynn has committed to education in ways that no other governor has. After all, he's just been named one of the finest governors of our country. And the reason he has been named that is he was willing to take on something that no other governor, Democrat or Republican in my opinion, would be willing to take it on. And he took it on because we weren't funding education and health issues at the right level, and that was a tax increase. Most importantly, however, Governor Gwynn, God bless him, created the Millennium Scholarship, and I truly believe the Millennium Scholarship is the GI Bill for Nevada. One of the things that Nevada lacks in all of the states that surround us is, we have a really good tax base, even with the increases of taxes that so many people disagreed with. We don't have franchise fees to banks. We don't have a state income tax. We have lower per person taxes as they are. We don't have a corporate income tax. California, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Oregon all have a much higher tax base than we. Still, we cannot compete and bring businesses to this state. Why? Because of our education. And Governor Gwynn understands that. You have to invest. You have to invest in your education system. That doesn't happen overnight. As superintendent of public schools in Clark County, as president of UNLV, as governor creating the Millennium Scholarship, and being willing to have the guts to make the tough decision to raise taxes in this state, not for this year or next year, but for the next 10 years, with our population growth, with the number of teachers that we have to recruit every semester and every school year into particularly Clark County is tremendous. You can't do that without money. So you bet I think Governor Gwynn is the education governor.
All right, so you would disagree with Senator Townsend, who wants to take a look at rolling back some of the taxes that were passed 4 years ago?
You bet I do, strongly.
Even though that, well,
yeah, because if you look at the resources that are needed to run this state, and we are not overly generous or liberal in our social programs, nor even in our education programs. If you look what it will take to run this state in a conservative manner, which we are and have been and will be, it's going to take a tax base that Governor Gwynn created with the help of the legislature 2 years ago to continue into the future. We roll back taxes now, we are going to be behind in all of those categories, Ray, that you just raised. We're going to be at the bottom of the damn barrel in education, in social issues, and then watch the businesses come here. They will not come here if we cannot provide a decent, educated worker, a skilled worker, to supply that business. They will not come here if their workers cannot send their children to decent elementary, junior high, and high schools, and they will not come here if they cannot get undergraduate and graduate workers to work in their businesses graduating from the University of Nevada, Reno, and UNLV. We have got to invest in our future, and our future is education. And you can't do that if you don't have any money.
All right, but you have a lot of, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but you have a lot of candidates already who are running for governor, Congressional District 2 seat.
Republican candidates.
Republican candidates who are coming up with tasks, the Nevada version of TABA, Prop 13. There are all kinds of things. What kind of promotion do you think should be done, and who should be doing it, to say, let's not roll these taxes back and let's use them to fund things like education?
Sam, you only have to look at Bill Owens, one of the most conservative governors in the country. You look at Bill Owens. Bill Owens said, we have got to take a time out from TABOR. It's ruining Colorado. Bill Owens is one of the most anti-tax governors that's been elected in the last 10, 15 years in our country. You look at California, Prop 13 passage, the next 20 years, it was a reaction always of the initiative process to Prop 13. We got Prop 109, we got Prop 49, we got all these initial additional initiatives passed in reaction to Prop 13 that, frankly, in my opinion, further screwed up the tax base and the budgeting in California. So now, every fee, every tax passed in California, 40% of it must go to teaching, to education. So you can't raise a fee to fill, if you have a need. 40% of it goes to education. That was a reaction to Prop 13. This is craziness. Let Nevada run its business. Let the representatives of the people every other year come and evaluate whether or not this state needs taxes or a reduction of taxes. You don't need an initiative to do it.
So you wouldn't, are you supporting any of the Republican candidates for governor that have declared already?
Not personally, not yet, but what I'm vehemently opposing are these tax initiatives on the state ballot.
What Democrat would you support for governor, if any?
Well, I'm a private citizen now, so I can just keep all of those, you know. I'm not supporting anyone. First of all, there are other people that may still enter. But I really hope the people of the state of Nevada are very careful about their considerations of taxes. Taxes are a serious business, and you don't just put an initiative willy-nilly on the ballot because it sounds cool, like Prop 13 is attractive to a certain element of our population. TABOR-like is attractive. Go back into those states where those initiatives were passed in the last 20 years and look and see what happened as a result of them. It's not good.
You have been away far too long. We welcome you back anytime you're available. Marybel Batjer, thanks for being here. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, just 10 minutes east of Sparks. We're proud that Walmart and other Fortune 500 companies have chosen Tahoe Reno Industrial Center to relocate their businesses. We have sites from under 5 acres to well over 500 acres, and with all of the amenities that every successful corporation requires. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, and we're building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
The Nevada Beer Wholesalers encourages the responsible consumption of beer. The Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association are sponsors and participants in many community-based efforts such as school education programs, safe ride home, recycling programs, alcohol-free after-prom and graduation parties, safe voting campaigns, and designated driver programs. They are family-owned businesses employing 2,000 Nevadans. They also collect and pay the state excise tax. The Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association, delivering more than just beer.
The resort at Red Hawk offers you 2 great dining choices. Experience David's Grill and Sports Bar or the Steakhouse at Red Hawk. The Steakhouse has received the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence based on a diverse selection of fine wines. To accompany the wines, the Steakhouse serves certified Angus beef steaks in a variety of cuts, fresh fish, chicken, and pasta dishes. For fun and casual dining, come to David's Grill and Sports Bar. David's is open 7 days a week, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The resort at Red Hawk. Always the right choice.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are joined by our Power Pundit panel today, Dick Gammick, Washoe County District Attorney, Susan Fisher, who's the owner of Fisher Consulting, Larry Matheis, Executive Director of the Nevada State Medical Association. Dick, you were gleeful when Marybel was talking about education. Why?
I got to give the lady a hand, the very thing that I've been saying all along. You've got to have revenue if you're going to do things. I've been critical of education in some aspects because we need to know where the money's going and how it's being tracked and used. That's efficiency. But we do have to spend on our education, and I'm an absolute backer of Governor Gwynn on the scholarships. I think that's one of the best things that ever happened to this state, and I think it's going to show up for us great in the future. So a lot of stuff she was saying, I was really interested to see someone else saying that.
Susan?
I agree completely. We're one of 2 states that use that money to something really good that's going to give back to the state and give back to the children of the state and the families. And, you know, Gray Davis threw it into the general fund to pay down the energy debt, and then it's gone. And nobody really got any benefit out of that. So
I think you see why Marybel Batjer has been trusted so much by people in power. She's a very articulate and thoughtful person addressing these policy issues.
And not afraid to speak her mind.
And not afraid to speak her mind. And now she's free to do it because she's not principally an advisor and able to do that. I do think, however, that we have come only a very short distance. We've raised a lot of revenue. We've not put the budget issues to rest at all. That's, for the rest of this decade, making those revenues match up with the priority needs of the state has to be done. It's not happening right now. You've got a disconnect between the increases in the taxes, the revenues that were developed, and where the budget needs are. And I think that for this next generation of political leadership, and we're in this generational change right now, they're going to have to answer that other part of the equation. Just what is it that Nevada wants to spend the money on? Right now, we're taking in more money than we are able to spend properly. That's what this last session was about. And we need to answer those questions and answer them precisely,
by the way,
not in generalities.
I really agree with you. I think that's a discussion the state needs to have.
Yeah, she made one other point, too, that I just want to kind of emphasize here, and that is, folks, we got to watch what we're doing. If we jump into things like Tabor and Prop 13 and all these other cutbacks, we've got to look at what that's done to other states. California is in an absolute financial disaster. Colorado's headed that way real fast. So we've got to have the revenues to run the state, but it's got to be spent smartly, and we've got to have a plan in order to do that.
And the reason we have these initiatives is because there is a growing body of Nevadans who don't trust our process to spend wisely or to tax wisely.
Then they need to get involved.
Well, they are involved. They're voting for these things, and they're voting against a process that we need to have work better than it's worked in the last few years.
You know, when we praise a Millennium Scholarship, we have to realize too that if you talk to our state treasurer, Brian Krolicki, that tobacco money that fuels that is going up in smoke, and we're not going to have that. Taxpayers are going to have to fund the bill for the Millennium Scholarship in the future.
And we should.
And we talk about plans for education. I think the Nevada's district superintendents had a great plan coming into the legislature. It was called Invest, on how to fund public education. Carlos Garcia the main pusher of that. He's the superintendent in Clark County. He took a powder halfway through the session, and that invest plan just sat there, and much of it did not get passed. And I think that this next time, the superintendents have to do a much better job with that invest plan if we're going to save education in this state.
Let me change the topic on you guys. This is out of the Christian Science Monitor. California and Arizona farmers, producers of half the nation's citrus and 90% of its vegetables and nuts, are struggling with an acute labor shortage. The situation, worsened by crackdowns on illegal immigration since 9/11, also extends to other states. It is no longer just a matter of possible price increases on lettuce, oranges, or almonds. Rather, it is a turning point in the nation's ability to produce its own food and possibly the loss of major parts of its agriculture industry. That's the reality on the ground as far as immigration goes. If we don't see these workers coming in, this major industry is in big trouble.
Well, I'm confident that California will continue to produce plenty of nuts. That I don't have much worry
and I avoided that cheap shot, but thank you.
But I do think that this is a complex policy issue. The immigration issues are a reverse of what the immigration issues the nation faced turning the 20th century. It was an East Coast issue, an upper Midwest issue. It's now a southwestern U.S. issue. And it is fundamentally addressing our economy, and it will fundamentally change our economy, how we decide where we're going to cut this off, where we're going to legalize things, who we're going to empower, and who we're going to take power away from.
Let me see if I got this straight. We're cutting down on the illegal workers, so we're having difficulty. What happened to the work visas and bringing more people into the country legally and letting them work it?
Well, at this point, I guess that they're not moving fast enough to be able to do that. And, the president's guest worker program is wallowing at this point. It doesn't seem like that's going to take off.
Well, if there's a supply and demand problem, they can also raise wages.
They can,
well, that's an issue, too. There are so many regulations.
You know what? In this article, it actually talks about the fact that they were offering $8 to $10 an hour and could not get people to do the jobs.
I come from a farm family in California. My family still farms, and we have citrus. And labor shortages are an issue now. I don't recall them being an issue when I was a kid there. We had a lot of migrant farm workers. Now the packing house goes out and they contract with the workers. Probably some of them are illegals, but one's legal, I guess, working on a visa. But it is an issue. It's going to cause more of the purchases to come from Chile, South America. We get a lot of citrus brought in.
That's where we got to leave it. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
After all, we had the
Nevada Newsmakers. Brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
South Reno's hotspot for food, fun, and friends is the Tamarack Junction. Play over 480 of the hottest slots and video poker games. Enjoy hot times and sizzling food specials at Sully's Sports Bar, Grill, and Nightclub. Watch your favorite game on one of our jumbo high-definition plasma TVs. Enjoy great food 24 hours a day in the Dining Car Restaurant. Or sample the best hot and cold sandwiches in the Whistle Stop Deli. The Tamarack Junction is your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway. Yeah.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. And if you own an iPod, we're now podcasting. Go to the bottom of our homepage, and it'll tell you how you can get the shows.
Sam, tomorrow we have Senator Mark Amity of Carson City. We're going to talk about liquid gold, water in Washoe County.
We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.